Hey everybody, we've got about 6 minutes till the stream starts. We've got Bryan Jones here. Hey Bryan.
Hey, how's it going, Felix?
It's going very well, thank you. How's everybody in chat doing? I see Brady's got to go to class for the session now, so you'll catch it later. Yeah, this one should be on
Hey everybody.
on YouTube. Oh, there we go, that's the audio coming through on my laptop. Bryan, you looking forward to this game?
Yeah, it's going to be great. I haven't watched it in a little while, but this was one that was fun to do as a commentator as well, and it'll be fun to do the analysis again.
Awesome. I've just realised, seeing as my voice came through. Oh, I had the background track muted. Okay, I'll turn that on for you guys to enjoy, and we'll see you in 5 minutes. AJ quickly. Hey AJ, how we doing? You're here at the beginning of for the first time. Yeah, well, we normally talk about stuff like the colour that the names are in chat today. So it looks like we've got a vivid bright green for the names in chat. It's like completely a random element that I can't control. Kim's here as well. Zero. Or Hero, maybe. Going to practice in about an hour. Oh, alright. What are the... have you come up with drills and stuff to which enforce social distancing whilst playing Frisbee? We're wondering about making a video about that, actually.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
It's possible. It's a good time for spread offenses, I reckon.
Yeah, that's for sure. No stacking allowed.
Tight 1-to-1s out the window as well. Unless you stick with the matchup for the entire game, and then it's like slightly more acceptable.
Yeah, matchups will have to be decided beforehand. You'll have to stay in the same hotel room as your matchup. Get to know each other.
Yeah, maybe even share a car journey there and back. Kim says doing different stuff all without marking or scrimmage games.
We really just need to find a week-long site we can go to with barracks. Everybody gets tested as soon as they get there, and then you play a season within a week.
Yeah. Wow. It's training for that would be pretty hardcore. Getting your body into a state where you can play an entire season in 1 week.
Yeah, I mean 2 games a day. You get something.
Yeah, of course. 2 games a day. Yeah, I was thinking like a whole set of tournaments.
We'll make it 2 weeks, and I think we could do 2 games a day for about 2 weeks, and I think everybody would break down after a while. But
yeah,
we'd have a season.
It'd be pretty efficient. You'd be able to get the live streaming stuff there, relatively cheap, I guess, if you just have to set up once and maybe once every morning. There's a few ways that could work well. Okay, we'll be back in 3 minutes for the beginning of the stream. Bravo versus Revolver. It's the semi-final from the World Club Championships 2014. Okay, everybody, we're about to go live. So you can alt-tab back to us. Who have we got in the chat today? Say hello. Just a small party at the beginning because we're earlier than usual. And let me just get this going live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the stream. I am Felix Schlachet. I'm joined today again by somebody who last time they joined, I got a message from someone on Reddit saying that the stream that we produced was one of the most enlightening documents on our sport that I've ever seen. So it's my great pleasure to welcome Bryan Jones to the stream again. Bryan, how you doing?
Great. Everything's been hunkered down here in the quarantine. Got 2 new dogs, I think. I don't know if we had them the last time we spoke, but they're doing well. So I'm excited to look back on this game, which was, it's one of those games that lives up to its billing. We were excited for this one because Bravo had just gotten a bunch of people that year after competing in semis the year prior. And so a lot of people are at their peak, and this is some of the best kind of power ultimate athletes you're going to see, and it didn't disappoint.
Yeah, there's a lot of big stars on the rosters, and it's kind of like it's old enough that it's kind of nostalgic as well. You have like a Beau Kittredge very much at like the peak, I'd say. Is that fair? You got Brodie Smith playing, Schlachet as well, just a couple of years before Worlds in London. Jimmy Mickle, of course, Cassidy Rasmussen, Brett Mazuka, is it?
Nick Lance, that's right. I loved watching Nick play, so I'm excited to watch this one for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be great. People in the chat, I plug my Patreon every week. This is a terrible time to sign up to Patreon because when you sign up to Patreon, then you give like a dollar or whatever your pledge is. And then on the first of the month, it like renews. All right. So if you sign up now, you're going to end up paying $2 in like 4 days. Ridiculous. So save that money in your pockets until Monday. On Monday, I'm going to be doing something interesting with like a sub train. So I'll be live streaming during the day, and I'll carry on. I'll add minutes to the stream depending on like getting patrons and how much is pledged. So it'll start off with a big chunk because I've already got like some patrons. And then it will be very much directed by the patrons themselves. So, if you're watching and you're like, oh yeah, I'll fancy sticking around for a while, then you can pledge and you can be like, right, let's do this, Felix. Have a look at this game or play Rocket League or whatever. It's just gonna be like a sub-train stream. So it could go on for like 12 hours, which it'll be fun. So that's happening.
Well, I only signed up for an hour today, Felix. So let's not start with 12.
So that's going to be happening on Monday. Because Monday is the first of the month, so it's the best day to sign up to Patreon. Right, let's get into the game at hand. Got this lovely thumbnail that I'm definitely going to change the way I do thumbnails. By the way, it's not working out well, I don't think.
I like the font.
Yeah, I found like one font that I'm just nailing. Okay, let me get this set up right. Sky Magazine, they did some fantastic coverage. Like every game that I go through of theirs is it's just got that kind of extra touch to it. Like they know the right replays to show, and you can see them getting into the groove as well. Like all the production's working out nicely. How were they to work with? Because you were commentating in this game.
Yeah, it was a little nuts with the situation in Lecco with the rain and everything, but we got it going and then got into a groove. We had some real pros there, so. This was a point where we were getting pretty good at doing this stuff. You see your keys to the game. Like, of course, you got to contain Beau. Everybody tried to do that. And then the big question mark coming into this was, could you manage all of the people coming in? Brodie Smith, Ryan Farrell was very good. He was on the team for a long time. And then a bunch of the other additions like Kurt. And this was something that was, not solved until Nationals. Kurt was playing D for a long time and was switching back and forth. And then he'd come in to finally score the most goals at Nationals as an offensive receiver. And I was coaching Pony. This is my first year coaching. And we tried everything we did. When it got to Nationals a few months later, we played Bravo in pre-quarters for our season and couldn't find a way to stop Kurt. He was just so dominant. But
Right.
here, I think we're going to see him mostly on defense.
I intended to make a list of goats. You know what goat is?
Greatest of all time?
Yeah.
Or scapegoats?
Could be both, but I'm thinking greatest of all time at the moment. And Kurt Gibson, I have to bet on there because he's consistently up in the final, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe more often than not on the losing end, right? But very much as a very hugely influential player. On that team. Got to add in Mike Grant.
Yeah.
When I started playing.
He's a guy that I, didn't have the same appreciation for everybody else because I've just you don't see him in person. But the 2008 Worlds Final is fun to watch to see what he was like. And then there's like old Ulti Village footage of him versus Beau, a young Beau.
Yeah,
that's a fun matchup as well.
Yeah. I saw it. I think I posted that to Reddit actually. That clip because he goes deep for Cruikshank's Huck, and then Beau just catches up and gets a D first, like using his speed. Jimmy Pickle, of course.
Yeah.
Thank you, AJ, for the suggestion. I'll correct that. Matsuno, yeah. Oops.
I think anytime you have a move kind of named after you and everybody practices against it, like then you've got you've made your mark on the game.
Yeah. I don't. Are there any like negative? Are there any like bad moves that people like? Happy feet, BJ Seven. Okay. Who have you got? Anyone to add to this list?
Yeah, I mean Beau, obviously.
Yeah.
So we can't. And then Ashlyn is kind of a goat in the sense of goat handlers in a lot of ways. Offensively, he was incredible. I think Robbie Cahill is incredible as well. I mean, we could talk a lot about, I think, a ton of people in here.
Yeah.
Not just like just greatest of all time, but like very good of all time. Cahill is underrated. He was an incredible field general, made a lot of right moves, and then if you tried to really put pressure on him in the handler space, he would go deep, and he was athletic enough to sky the crap out of you. So he was a tough one, and yeah. But this is fun to see. You see a couple guys that are on this line right away. We see Alex Evangelides, who is now a big player for Machine, playing offense for them. He's number 13. He played Revolver for a little while, and that he's somebody that will be interesting to see how he looks in this game.
Cool. Okay, let's get into it. Well, something I forgot to ask you. Maybe it's not something that you you have a very busy schedule and everything, but I've been thinking about like different ways of getting the content out because we're producing a lot of content, and I'm trying to figure out ways that it's most palatable to people. Oh, Free Child needs to make that list, of course. Sorry, and if there's like a couple of standout bits from this game that you want to maybe like record, do some like post stream, like just record yourself talking about it, then I can like sync it up to video, and then I'll have a couple of bits where I'm talking about my favorite bits of the game as well, whether it's like an awesome play or like super interesting. Sure. And then compile like 3 or 4 or 5 clips into then one video, which is like, hey, me and Brian went over this game, here are our favorite bits, and I was talking about them, and I'll put graphics on it and stuff. That could be a nice thing for people to watch, and it might promo the stream pretty well as well.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We got to just have the 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time meeting and get everything done.
Yeah. Wait, it's not. Wait, what do you mean 6 a.m.?
No, I'm just saying if we need to do add some more time in post, I've got some time in the morning when the dogs wake me up. So.
Oh right, yeah.
Right now it's 11:40, so we're good. Sorry about that.
So IHD is intensity, humility, and discipline.
Yeah. They I mean, this is something where it's like it works for them. They were a team that was really, and I think this is Mike Payne coming in as well. Like he was on the team as a player in the early days, winning in 2010 Nationals. And then for a while it was Alex Gassier who was the coach, and then in 2013 I believe he left. So Mike Payne comes in, and everything about him in terms of like he is a very like committed, serious coach, and he understands like how to get like everybody on the same page. And this IHD was something that he didn't, I think he had a hand in it. I'm not sure he directly created it, but it's hard to keep winning. It's hard to keep having that hunger over and over again and having something you can hold on to of how you should commit yourself mentally. I mean, this is going to be Revolver's won in 2010. They won in 2012 for Worlds as Team USA and WUGC. This will be their third World Championship together, along with a couple of other, I think, 3 national championships. So it's pretty, after being the finals for 4 straight years, it's pretty hard to stay hungry. And it's incredible the competitiveness they maintained.
Members who came up with it, he said.
Oh, right, let's dive into it. I'll just change the commentator audio so it's not so loud very quickly. Sorry, should have done that earlier. There we go. All right, into the game. So we've got Bravo receiving the first pull.
Yeah, Bart Watson in this game. Somebody who I forgot about. Bravo runs a pretty interesting spread offense, I think, here. And it's they didn't really have a classic side stack look, but I think they just really get their athletes in terms of positioning. Bart Watson is like the GOAT of making the tough throws. He makes so many he just rips it. And I think that was something for a long time where he was known for having a trigger finger in nationals in the mid 2000s, but he really honed it. So there's just a lot of talent on the field right now.
Yeah, I saw her give go opportunity there that wasn't taken. Oh, that's what's on. Oh, I mean that is skin in the teeth stuff there.
Yep, that's slicing backhand. It's incredible.
Yeah. But I mean that's the full extent of the Jimmy Mickle catch as well. He has to instantly read it, accelerate, and then lay out full stretch and catch like blading edge, and it just gets around this laying out defender as well.
Yeah, I mean Bart knows what he wants to do and knows kind of the exact angle, and a lot of times I think earlier in his career he missed, but he was definitely when these from 2008 to 2014 he was absolutely deadly. Oof.
I was just gonna have a look at a couple of things here. Yeah, so they've got like a clear. They are kind of spread out, but it is quite a familiar kind of conventional offense. In a lot of ways, like they've got the standard reset here. They seem to have 3 handlers, although they like to have the person on the far side going deep sometimes. And here's the give and go that I thought they should throw. So,
yeah, they have the opportunity to do that, and I mean this is a guy you don't want thrown anyway. He's a very good cutter, and it's one of those things where Keegan's wide open here to take advantage of it. So, yeah.
100%. And then, like when he gets it here, right? Then, if he catches that pass on the move here, then Jimmy doesn't even have to cut to get the disc over here.
Yep.
And then this guy's going to be able to either keep going or maybe like come back, so you can work the disc all the way over to the far sideline. So why isn't the give and go done? I mean, does he turn inwards here? He turns inwards. He can like see him. But I think and this comes up later on in the game. I think it's like a technique thing. I think there's just a lot of practice that's put into looking downfield and faking and pivoting. And
yeah, I mean Jesse Ream. Yeah, I think it's an interesting. He should have just done it right away. I don't see why. And like I said, he's a guy who's not known as a thrower. Jesse Ream, very good cutter. For a long time was a staple of kind of that 7th, 6th cutter on Bravo's offense. But you want it in Keegan's hands. And you can tell Keegan was asking for it, so I'm sure he came off and wanting more of it.
And that's exactly the right reaction as well. When someone bids on a disc and you catch it, then like some people are like, and actually this isn't wrong either, but some people are like, right, I don't have a force on, I can huck it, and so then they like anyone goes deep, they throw deep, because no pressure on it from the thrower's point of view. But I prefer just maintaining this separation. Yeah, he's now got this separation plus from his defender. So if he throw and goes, then he maintains that separation, and he can do it in exactly the opposite direction to where the defender is. And that massively just puts the D on the back foot for the rest of the offense, hopefully.
Totally.
But I think it's a technique thing. I think it's a training thing. Like more trained at holding the disc, putting in fakes, faking and pivoting, than like catching and release within like half a second. It's a bit funny, like pulling out of this cut over here. I think my face might be obscuring that. And he kind of like bends around out of his cut, and then the huge backhand over to the far side. Can't even see where Jimmy comes from.
Such a tough throw to make. I mean, it really is.
Yeah. This Jimmy.
It's a dagger.
Yeah.
This is one of the things that's so much fun to watch. Like, it's not necessarily the thing you would want to coach ever, but man.
Such a nice catch too. Like it's a great bid on D. You know, he gets close.
Yeah, Russell Wynn.
Just hovering.
Oh,
very horizontal, very high up.
Russell was near the peak of his game at this time too. He was an incredible defender. He was one of those staples.
Yeah.
He's so smart and athletic.
Russell Wynn. On to the next point. Barry says Russell Wynn is a super underrated defender. Well, not anymore. We're rating him very highly.
Yeah, he got a lot of praise. It's hard when Revolver's winning and you have so many options to go to. There's just a lot of love to go around. Cahill, though, I love his form and his backhands. And this is Beau being like, at this point in his career, Beau is like, and he's been doing this for a while. He's like, yeah, I'm going to get forced under all the time. Joel Schlachet.
I liked Beau's stance when he had the disc, though. He's like backhand towards the middle of the field.
Yep.
I've been thinking a lot, and we've been talking a lot on stream about like the difference between inward turning and outward turning, or inward pivoting, outward pivoting, and then like the neutral stance. You know, whether you stand like chest facing downfield, or whether you stand like pivoting towards downfield, or it's slightly infield.
Mm-hmm.
And I have not figured it out yet. You know, I know that certain things are very good in certain situations and in certain systems, but I'd like to go back and have a look at that. That Beau stance. I'll do it now actually because there's a stoppage. That wasn't actually a score. There was some kind of stoppage. So yeah, he gets it here, right? Turns outwards. Okay, which I don't think is efficient, but the disc is slightly to the left. He could still definitely catch this and turn infield, because really, like, you want to be facing so you can see this stuff, right? That's so you want to be like facing this way. So yeah, could be a bit more efficient on the turn in. And then what I like here is he steps then in like towards into the middle of the field. Yeah. Sorry, a bit of video problems. So he steps there, boom, like that, and he's now he's like threatening what I was just what I just drew out. Yeah. So his step is this way. And
there's a lot of inside space, and Beau really likes to throw, though. The reason why he probably pivots outward is I think Beau loves his high release flick. He's just at 6'4", he can get it over people, and he's got a lot of room to do so. And so you don't usually see him throw too many like long inside backhands to this space. He would. I mean, I think he'll throw the shorter one for 10 yards. But I think that's why he's probably pivoting outwards. I think it's just a matter of his throw comfortability.
I think this is an inward pivot, though. Like he turned outwards, so he turned his body outwards after catching the disc.
Yeah, I think it's to clarify, I think just seeing him so many times, he's going to turn outwards because I think he usually the side stack here is going to allow him to throw that immediate around flick. But he sees the space. There's so much in the middle of the field, and he's trying to communicate like, look, just run to the middle of the field and I can hit you.
Yeah. He's like threatening that. But I do like it because if someone does get free down the line, it's a quick movement to get round to the flick.
I agree.
And what? Okay, I think the reason why I've started to think about this kind of stance is because if you want to throw and go, it's best to do it with just your like back foot on the ground, and your like non-pivot foot up in the air, right?
Yep.
So then it's like quite good technique, and it doesn't look like you travel, let alone you're actually not traveling. So in this situation with his, it's basically his balance, right? So what I'm looking at is the fact that he's got his pivot foot here, and then his body weight is like here, right? So his balance is that way, which means his balance is going forward. Okay, I mean obviously it is now that his foot's down on the ground, but that can kind of change during the catch and the rotation. And this means that then he's set up to then if he lifts this non-pivot foot up, he's already set up to like throw and go through the middle of the field. Yeah.
Well, I think we see a lot of throw and go opportunities with Beau as well. Like, you're not wrong. I think he also does an excellent job on his flick side, and he's very good at the sharp angle throw and go, and which we'll see, I think, later in this game. And I remember watching this game to study how to like defend it, because there's a couple different options that Beau, once he gets near the end zone, he's so deadly with. And that's like, I think the part of the game people don't talk about is he's like an incredible give-go option at the end zone, because his big body can seal people out. And if you take away the upline so hard with him and Cahill, you'll see that Cahill can simply reach around and just throw the backhand to the other all far side of the field. But there's a lot of other things that we can study. And you're right here. He can turn around and throw this flick. He's very comfortable. He loves throwing that. Yeah, it's something that he's very good at. And he has the size to do so. It's something that you can know is coming. You see the guy lay out for it too. The defender, I'm not sure who that. I can't tell by the number who that is. But yeah,
not sure. I think his sidearm does falter in this game, and this one is like quite stretched. And I don't know whether it's the right time for a high release as well, because really you want the disc to be angled up a bit so it moves quickly and then lingers later on.
Yep.
The thing, do people talk enough about both sidearm? Like, maybe not constructively. I think what it lacks, and I'm not going to go into a huge amount of detail here because it's more there's a point later in the game, but he doesn't like pull that like left shoulder back first. Yeah. And it's less of like a whip and it's more of like a step and push. It's like one forward motion to get. There was like
yeah, I had a chance one time to talk to Kenny Dobbins at Next Gen in 2012 in New York. And I was asking him about how the game compared, and he said his biggest thing was like he saw is that people are being designed to win drills. And and it was an interesting point, one that I reflected on, which is like I don't necessarily agree with all of it, but I thought, you're talking about, we're adding to the GOATs list right now.
Yeah.
We got to add Cribber as well, I think. But Dobbins, said to me, he's like, I think the difference between today's game is that he was scrimmaging all the time in New York. And so his throws were very functional. They don't necessarily look as good as throwers today, but they were very, very functional, meaning they got to their target, they were accurate, they were completed a lot of the time. And he said, I think a lot of the athletes today are their throws look prettier, but, they're doing it in drills and not necessarily in game situations. And I think there's some truth to that. And I think that applies to Beau, which is like, you can knock on him, and in some games, rightfully so. He's made some mistakes for his throwing motion. But his throws have been incredibly functional and dangerous for a long time. Mm. He has the ability and the mental acuity. There are times that I think, Pony versus Machine, where he just rips a huck out of nowhere and he doesn't even hesitate and it's right on target. And it's a windy game. So I think Beau is a little bit underrated as a thrower, but I also understand like he's certainly not perfect. He's certainly not the same archetype that you would like teach people from, but it's functionally very effective.
Yeah, and but a lot of that is knowing the game very well and being able to make the right decisions at the right time. I think if we're talking Beau and sidearms, we can't not mention the fact that Revolver are only here in the semi-final because they won the quarterfinal in sudden death against Clapham from a flick huck from Beau.
Yes, that's right. That was an incredible throw.
Around break and Justin Ford.
Yeah. Just turn and fire. That was fun. I was right in front of that in the sideline, and Cassidy just basically walked that into the end zone.
Yeah. I'll try and find that now, actually, on the YouTubes. Clapham, Revolver, quarter. There was someone saying recently there's tragedy that game wasn't filmed other than the last point.
Yeah. I only got to watch a little bit of it because we were doing other portions of it. I got to run over after one of our other games. It might have been the Ironside Buzz game, but I don't think it was, because that would have been pre-quarters.
All right, Mum's on force. Here we go. Beau gets it here. Justin on force, and he just steps out wide and gives that flick. There he is. Just run down for the clap catch. That's sudden death. It's quite cool to be able to find that and just bring it up. Oh, Rodders is in the chat. Awesome. Hey, Rodders. Good to see you. Stepping forward, as Beau does, also means you can then step backwards to make the throw, as the force will be further away. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, if it's force line, and you're pivoting like that, then the force has to choose to either be behind you or to like give up the around completely. So they have to like stand further or to straddle you. They're not allowed to choose that. So they have to stand further away than your non-pivot foot, right? So you're almost like pushing them away by pivoting forward into that space, occupying that space. And then that means then when you go from that into throwing side, like pivoting to the side to throw around them, then they're already like a step away, just like you say, Rodders.
Yep.
Ah, it's Ashlyn with an I, not with a Y. Right, cool.
Well, I think the other thing that the point's making there is like there's a lot of depending. It's all about how far in the form you step out with. Because if you step out too far unbalanced, which at some point you're going to do, Beau has this luxury because of his height and his length. He can step out further and really stress the defense.
Yeah, it's a huge advantage, and that's why players like Mike Grant are so effective, really, because massive frame, so they're able to not just catch the frisbee but throw it wherever they want as well.
I love this double move here by Cahill because it's just indicative of what the offense for Revolver is, which is like we're gonna look downfield and then we're gonna really look for our primary reset in isolated space. And this is the tough part because I think this is Kurt here, I believe, or no, Jackson Clore. Oh, maybe it's Kurt. Sorry, it's having a hard time here picking it up. But this pretty good defense, and what are you going to do? You got to give up something.
Yeah, these are basically the two spaces that he's got to work with.
Yeah,
defender prioritizing the one that's downfield.
And you've got Beau there at the front of the stack, so if you leave him, he's going to find his way open, and he's a big target, so they'll just toss it up to him. So poaching off here is difficult without a lot of coordination. And you also have Joel Schlachet, who's incredible first step, waiting on deck. So this is really tough. These are why these guys were so good.
Mm-hmm. Good discipline as well to keep that space clear. When the thrower's looking at the dump, you really don't want to be cutting under. So that's not actually a goal. Pick, it says. Let's have a look, see whether we can see the pick. Is it this thing over here? This looks a bit weird. Don't tell me that's the pick. Is that the pick?
Yeah.
But he just runs into, like, he's going away from his mark, right?
Yep.
He's going away from his mark, and it's like, oh, I can run into these guys and stop the offense.
Yeah, this should be a goal. I mean, and Beau, Barry has appropriately called out. Beau is just so tough to guard in this space, so fast, so big, and like a freight train running through. You can try to get in front, but then even if you stop this goal cut here, right at the cone, there's a good switch here. He's going to go far cone, and what are you going to do? You're going to outrun him, and he's 6'4". He can put it up high. So there's a lot of good options here, and this is why Revolver is so tough to defeat.
Yeah. Okay, that's one of the weirder pick calls because I've seen.
Yeah, I think Barry says there's a poach waiting for him. I'm even talking about even further out to the lane. If there's one at the cone, like I just don't think you never want that goal to happen. I'd want any other type of goal, but it's just, even if you stop that, you still have tons of space to work with. You need a lot of synchronous poaches.
Yeah.
So,
it's one of those things where not only does offense have the advantage, but Beau has the advantage. So you have to do very special things on defense. I mean, like, the poach is there. To be fair, that poach could react a little bit quicker. Like, it's almost like,
he also doesn't know what to take away. He needs to take away the low, which is, the goal cut to the cone. He needs to take that away at all costs. And then somebody over the top needs to come and help him. But you can see the Revolver cutter in the back of the stack is moving away. So he's dragging his person over to the space. So there needs to be a flood of defenders. And this is something that Revolver, I know, preached and was really good at. If you watch kind of the spacing, if we go back to where Joel gets it from Robbie originally, if we go back a couple throws, and you see right when they get to the doorstep, you'll see that nobody really continues forward. So everybody's clearing out right now, and we're just playing 2-on-2 in the end zone. Everybody's like, get out of the way. So
yeah, like these two players downfield now, if you watch, they both just get out of there.
Yeah. And then they're trying to play 2-on-2, which is why it's like all of these white jerseys in the back on the far side should be ignoring their man and sprinting right in front of the disc. Like, there's just no reason.
Yeah.
Like, this is something where it was like it took forever to figure out how to get people to do this. But it's like you need people to just get in front of the disc. There's no like guarding your man on the far side of the field is doing absolutely nothing here. Like,
I'm a big fan of Joel Schlachet, so I'm just having another look at him here, and you see he gets contacted. Yeah, defender there committing a foul. All right, but contact has now been initiated, so in a way it's kind of anything goes. And he just kind of like wrestles around him. You're like, fine, I can use that contact to my advantage. Perfect timing to then get the disc. Such a powerful position.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Like you can see, he's perfectly in sync here with the cut that goes up the line. Okay, nice. Rodders Peter Robert Wright would also be in the conversation for goats. Definitely in the UK. I don't think any conversation about that in the UK would go without Rodders being mentioned. But Rodders, I'm interested in your opinion on UK based goats or European goats. Greatest of all times. Here's the list if you only just tuned in.
I think Beau has, Joe Mama Ultimate asks about the impact of losing Beau from Revolver and having to go through, like seeing and working with him. He's just such a competitor and has such a great mindset for winning. And I think he could have been helpful in those moments and challenging, and it's hard. I mean, that was one of the things where it's like, eventually he wasn't going to be the same player, but he's still incredibly valuable. Right. He can get free resets. He can do a lot.
I think he wants you to answer the question later.
Well, he'll come back to it, so he'll be fine.
Yeah, it's a fluid situation. But Brian does have to go in less than an hour now. That's like a hard cutoff for him because he's got work to go to, right?
Kirk knows what's going on here guarding Cahill, and this takes away this around back. And this is so tough to stop. If we watch him just for the couple passes, I mean, his low release around backhands are just so good.
What are we looking at?
Cahill, 27. If we go back and you just watch him operate the end zone, this is where he's so deadly. If he can just get the angle. Kurt fouls him on this one I'm going to be talking about. We'll see the foul. But before that even,
nice quick
he's just so smart. Because a lot of these guys I don't think would take these swings on, from 2018 Revolver, if you compare 2018, 2014. Cahill is just so good at just being like, you know what, I'm not going to stare downfield. I'm going to move the offense to a more dangerous position. He gets it here, and then he attempts the around backhand. So,
yeah, it gets chopped.
And Kurt knows what's coming, but it's still tough to stop. And even the next throw he gets off is going to be a nice release.
Raffaello, thank you very much for your subscription. Welcome to everybody that's just joined. We started the stream half an hour early today because Brian has to go in just under an hour, and it's taken us half an hour to get through 2 points. So
no, this is the good stuff, Felix.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of the way this stream goes. It's completely to the extreme of like, let's look into extreme detail. Everything's extreme. But I love it. So hopefully the viewers do too. But yeah, so people that are tuned in late, the stream will be available afterwards if you want to quickly check back to the beginning bit you missed. So yeah, Robbie Cahill wants to know backhand for the goal. I love the inside like backhand on that side as well. Just shows like a very versatile talent thrower to be able to just kind of step and lift up the backhand there.
He was so balanced.
Yeah,
such a good base. And I think he's like, I think he was like 6 foot ish, but I think he's much longer than that. He just throws with such good fundamentals over and over again.
And Joel Schlachet getting free again, taking some contact and then just making it work for him. There's something about the way that Schlachet runs as well. Like when he's cutting, he looks like he could change direction at any point. He doesn't look like he has to chop his feet. He just looks like he could just stop and just go the other way immediately.
Yeah, I think he can like front squat like 270 pounds or something ridiculous. I've heard he's like the most jacked guy in the gym.
Really?
So he just has incredible foot speed and explosiveness. And like you said, the ability to change direction is evident.
Yeah. Well, he learned by playing like hockey and soccer with his brother, I think, in like the front yard, and so like 2v2 kind of stuff. And so he just knows all about space and you know, movement to connect with players and stuff. I love that backhand. He's just like.
Transition to what Revolver's philosophy is nowadays, which is this year out of the college division.
Chat on the sideline. 1-1. Right, we'll go through the pitches a little bit quicker. Otherwise, you know, if we only get halfway through the game, then you know you come back in a few weeks, right? So.
Well, yeah, I thought we were coming back on Friday.
Yeah, as well as Friday. So even from today and Friday, if we still don't get through the whole game. Although, how much time did you have on Friday?
Well, we should have a good amount of time, so it should be fun. We'll see how it happens.
Yeah. God, that was close. There's almost a defender that was led in there by the offense.
Yeah, here, Bravo's certainly not optimized. I mean, this was the story all season. I think we're going to see them win on talent in a lot of cases. And they have the opportunity here to grow a lot throughout the season. Jimmy, though, looks just in form. And this was the year he won the Callahan. Won the college championship, wins a world championship, going to win a club championship.
That's very decorated.
I love watching Brett. Brett is so good at high releases.
Throw it back to him. He did like a nice give-go flick move that the defender had to cover, and then he had gained a lot from it, but it wasn't used. I definitely would have thrown to the end zone ages ago. Oh, nice.
Brett Matsuka made me reconsider the effectiveness of the air bounce backhand. Again, Bart Watson, 2 for 2 on throwing slicers.
Yeah. Okay, so there's a bit where the offense. Here we go. That 2 cuts to the same place. Oh, it's almost that defender's almost led in there. I'm sorry for the choppiness of the video. I'm gonna try something actually. If I try changing this, maybe if I change it to that. Oh no, that's not right. Bear with me for a second. All right, okay. I've changed something, so maybe that'll make the video a bit smoother. Okay, yeah. So that. And then there's a throw up the line that's on. I think they switch quite late, and I was expecting the high release flick just to go into the end zone. Nice immediate massive yard gain throw. Oh yeah. There you go. That's it. Like I'm looking at that being like throw it in the end zone. Another outward turn here. I think turning it. This could easily be an inward turn would equal goal, because if he keeps his eye on this player here, no need to turn outwards here.
I think this is what you would see with Revolver is, you know, Josh Ackley here is cutting a little bit too early for Brett. And whereas we want Jesse Ream with the long hair coming in, we would rather say, you know, Ackley starts to pull out, and it's just a little, it could have been thrown.
Could have been.
But if Ackley pulls out sooner and doesn't make the cut so early, that's a goal.
Yeah.
Good switch here in the end zone.
Oh. yeah, there was a good switch earlier on. But then he got free again, didn't he? Again over there. Josh Ackley got free over there. But then the force was on. And then there was a great bit. Here we go. It's Bart Watson, right? He catches. He bends the corner a little bit, and then this throw and go. Interesting technique, because he kind of like he actually like takes an extra step almost, because he lifts up that left foot to throw it, and I think that's easier technique to throw and go when you got that foot down, perhaps. I don't know. But then he throws and goes, right? And so then this catch, please don't turn outwards. Please don't turn outwards. Okay, he turns inwards, brilliant. And then the D's are right near him, right? He's going towards the defender right on him. So he stops, boom, okay. Why is he looking downfield? Like, there's an open pass here. Yeah, okay, it loses yards, right? But this defender has been beat, okay, and so now if the disc goes back here, not only can he get the disc off, but his defender is actually moving like away slightly as well. So
Yep.
And this defender's going that way. So if the disc goes back this way, okay, then this player can then cut across field, and probably what would happen would be there'd be another player for the swing, and then this original player here would end up then attacking this corner. And that basically just takes advantage of the fact that these two defenders are committing to stopping this. All right, but unfortunately he's focusing on that. So it's that thing of like going into the teeth of the defense rather than kind of sacrificing yardage in order to build up something and build up flow and work around the defense. Just watch it again at full speed. See that technique on the flick give go. Very hard to do. Flick give go move. I just want it to go back around the other way. I mean, if you do it all day, then you end up working yourself into a hole. But it did look like the right thing to do at that point.
Yeah, there's just too many people cutting, and I mean, Lance here is cutting around Bart. The spacing's not great, and then takes a Bart. I just love this throw.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. Jimmy likes to throw this throw now. You see Jimmy do that a lot.
Right, yeah. Jimmy, every time I watch Jimmy, I get more appreciation. You know, he changes direction here, and he's like always judging. Do I need to bid super high? Can I clap catch? Do I have to go up 2 hands high? And he always like makes the right call just to get it like kind of uncontested. You know, like if the defender was closer to that, he could have, you know, gone in a little bit harder, a little bit higher. And if the defender was further away, then he would have, you know, done a bit of a safer catch.
And that's Eli Kearns there coming in on defense.
Yeah, I thought I recognized him. I played with Eli briefly in about 2014. Who's this guy? We know this guy.
Brody Smith, one of the most talented throwers to ever grace the game.
Dude, he's doing some disc golf stuff now.
Yeah. Playing on defense. You know, he wasn't the same athlete he was, because in 2010, watching him in college, it was incredible. He had that incredible run in Wisconsin, and it was the Nationals were in Madison, Wisconsin, and nobody could touch him. Going deep, throwing over and over again, didn't matter. Such an incredible thrower. Classic isolation here. We're seeing Simon Higgins as well. I think this was one of his first years on Revolver.
Cassidy.
So much space. So giant unders. You're so afraid of them going deep.
I like the shape there.
Marked by Brody Smith. Back to Cassidy Rasmussen.
So yeah, loads of space now. And I think that's because they weren't flooding downfield so much. Like it looked interesting. It's a nice throw out to space. In the end.
Yeah, that's Wiseman. Josh Wiseman was such a quick receiver and was, you know, more important in the early years, but he is still deadly. He was one of those guys, kind of like Schlachet, but more of a downfield version of him.
So I almost prefer when the disc is, so the disc moves twice here in quick succession, like 20 yards at a time, boom, boom. And now there's only like one player level, one player slightly deep. Right?
Yeah.
And I always prefer that situation, you know.
I think this is great. This is classic Revolver. You prefer it from a defensive or offensive perspective?
Offense, just in terms of like possibilities.
Oh yeah, I think here, you know, you could have thrown it deep right away, but Stanley Peterson, who's playing defense, I believe, on the backside, you know, there's 2 guys that could go in succession, and it's pretty good man-to-man defense. Yeah,
and. Okay, a lot of people don't like it when this player is like in this position here. That's a terrible circle. We do it in green as well because they're on offense. So a lot of people don't like this player kind of being here, but I do, right? And I do because of this backup here. Okay, and it got like an equilateral triangle, which is my favorite. And if this defender marks tight, then this throw through here is possible.
Yep.
Yeah, but if the defender poaches off, then you can immediately not only throw it to this player here, if that defender poaches off, but then this player here then has a continuation. Yeah.
Yeah. You just have to read. We all just have to read that defender you're talking about, right? Like, and this is, I think, people don't like this because it's not practiced enough. They're like, oh yeah, that defender can poach off. Like, sure, but you've got to read them and teach that.
Mm-hmm.
If they stay tight, then you've got the easy pass of space. If they poach off, you've got the easy backfield pass directly behind, and you swing it right away.
Yeah,
there's a lot of good options.
So long as you have those options and that balance in your shape and everything, then the defenders can poach, and you will have an alternative. So you just have to be prepared and trained to take. And then another, like when this player then here catches this, the angle of attack has changed so much that they can actually throw to this other player that was in the triangle. Yeah, so this is like the secondary power of the triangle is that it's not just the one pass. Yeah, it's not about that one pass. It's really about the continuation, being able to keep that flow going. Which he could have done, but he chooses again to look away from where there's an open pass, because if he had thrown this, which I think is on, then this player has already seen what's over there, so then he could easily throw that next pass. However, because it doesn't go there, he turns and tries to view the situation, and he's a little bit off balance and just isn't comfortable with it, because that defender actually starts accelerating at a really good time. And now
I think there's a couple possibilities, like you said. One, that if we go back to right before he catches it, and you kind of freeze frame it there.
Yeah.
This is where cut timing is so important. And I think Simon here makes a couple of two early cuts in bad spacing. This swing doesn't really gain him anything, right? If he gets it right now, he's not going to gain any yards. So we're talking about Simon from the far side of the field, which is why I think after this point, you see Revolver uniformly. They really get Simon historically to clear out here and go directly across the field in counterflow. So normally, I don't think you'd see him cut this way to the backfield. I think he'd just directly go across in front and leave giant space open now, which is, if the cutter recognizes, then you could throw it for another 15-yard gain. And I think that's where Revolver's normally looking. So you could pass it, like you said, and I think that's a good option. But I also just wanted to point out that I think if Simon doesn't cut and clears out instead, you have an alternative option as well.
Yeah, and it is the system that they're playing as well, right? So it's almost certainly the best thing to do in that situation, because it's what everyone's expecting. It's how they play. Then the next thing then you talk about is, okay, right, if that clears up all that space, then that being an advantage for the offense is true, because the defense is doing tight one-to-one marking. So then the next level would then be, okay, well, if that's a big space, that means that the defenders, should be kind of like shading their marks in order to guard that bigger space, and allowing the players to kind of cluster elsewhere on the field, as they do in kind of side stacks. So yeah, the stuff that I was talking about with the triangles would apply better in a system which, where they're looking to flow and they're looking to move the disc with lots of quick passes, which is exactly what Revolver don't try and do. And so you're saying that if Simon, before going through with this cut, if he realizes, oh, actually this isn't the kind of space I should be in, if he then clears out this way, then there's a massive space for them to work with.
I think there's a solution that fits both of our needs, right? Which is like, he clears out either way. And the rule I would kind of want to institute here is that Schlag hasn't crossed midfield yet. So width-wise, he's not crossed the center line. Mm-hmm. So this extra pass to Cahill is still optimal. So why not both, basically? Simon clears out. Cahill then is the one to receive it going behind. He gets a free look at the break throw and gets a huge space to look at. So I think because of the position of Schlag on the field, why not just continue to move it? I think if he had received a longer swing and is past the half-field point, then he could keep it. But I think here you still benefit from doing both things. Yeah,
and then so then if he takes this throw to Cahill, then I'm also thinking that he should actually then cut for the continuation, like as in they should then work it between themselves going across to the far side.
You could do that
because that
for
defender
sure
is over there.
But either way, I think Simon clears out here. I think we hit it to Cahill, and we get a better option, either give and go, or you can attack a big space.
Yeah. Okay, cool. That's what I love about going through this footage is that this completely innocuous play that normally would never be looked at, you know, and then sitting here with you, we can break it down and go through all these theoretical possibilities and think about the different systems that are at play and what could potentially work better. I love it. Okay, so in the end, he kind of wants to throw that swing, gets put off by the person running down. He kind of turns backwards and sees that he just doesn't really want to throw to a static person behind him, I guess. So then he looks downfield and is able to pop the inside backhand.
Yeah, and a missed switch here from Bravo. Cassidy's clearing out, and if they just stay underneath and they switch here with Beau, but they love their matchups here. The Beau matchup is such a heightened one. So you could have switched and poached that lane. So now you're forcing Revolver to go through the middle of the field instead of side to side. And, you know, this is a great cut to get open, but a really good opportunity on Cassidy's man to stop, switch, and just play a bracket underneath and make that throwing lane squeezed. Yeah. And now you're gonna force him to not get that flow. You've got him in a good spot. They're not well spaced, but you give up your advantage here.
Yeah, and I think actually taking full advantage of this, and I think that the thing that is important to recognize, which is the thing that is taken advantage of, is the fact that there's two offensive players here that are near each other, all right? And they're also like clearing out, you know, not active. But because they're near each other, then that means that bracketing is possible, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got this offensive player who's cutting in here, and you've got another defender here. Okay, so when we get into the detail of this, then there's always questions like, you know, well, you know, if that happens, then this happens, and what happens next? So in this situation, this defender who's basically, if they decide to bracket, and then this one's like, right, I'm under, and then he gets heads up and he sees this cutter coming here, then this defender could go into that space, all right, and nullify that cut, so that pass can't happen, right?
Yeah.
But then he's obviously left one defender with two people over here, and then the next stage after that is actually this other defender who has been marking this player that's got free underneath. His momentum is taking him this way, so he can actually then peel off and join the sandwich, right? So it's a switch out of the bracket to mark a particular person 1-to-1, and the person that he's switching with is going from 1-to-1 to then actually being part of a bracket.
Yeah, and I think in general here, there's a couple of other switches. You know, for me, I'm visualizing the chess match, because if you start a bracket there's still space on the force side for Cassidy to come in for a pretty big under, because the bracket's going to be off center here. And so, you know, we have a switches in the middle of the field. We start poaching there. Cassidy could get it under. Somebody could get lost deep. So it requires really these two weak side defenders to join the fray. If we go back to where right before they hit the middle of the field, I would want to poach off a Simon here and get another guy in the lane, because you're not doing any good. Revolver wants to play 2-on-2 into the end zone. And
is this the right point here?
Yeah, right about here. So you've got two weak side defenders now, one on Simon and one off screen right behind your head, Felix. Oh, and those two guys can, like, if you start bracketing, those two guys can be really heads up, because now it's just, there's so much of an advantage here. Like, I would want, you know, they haven't been in good flow. I'd want to compress the middle of the field and then force them to go outside again and then reestablish. But I think the switch here, somebody says, you know, the last switch is hard to see and communicate. I mean, that's kind of the point, right? Like, if he does it early here, right at this point, 16, if he calls for it, he can then peek to the middle of the field right away. And if he does that, then he sees it. There's time to do this. It's hard, but you can do it.
So we're talking about the players on the near side of the field or the far side of the field here? Sorry.
Well, both here, but first near side. So kind of to clarify here, 16, who's in the middle of the field, could be heads up here and stopping multiple undercuts.
Yeah.
Because the mark is taking away the break side. We've got Simon, who's in the middle of the field right now. Or Simon's not in the middle of the field. Simon Higgins is on the far side of the field for Revolver. Mm-hmm. So there's not going to be a giant break go off. And so what we can do is we can have 16 poach the middle of the field. We can have Beau's defender poach deep. and we can have the far deep defender. Now we're talking about not near, but far. He can also be heads up here and be looking to help off, because if Beau goes deep or somebody else, but like, we don't want, they're not going to throw that. I mean, if they do, they could. That's a really deep throw. I think that's something you kind of want to go up. And so just turning your stance and being able to see the field would be a lot better.
Yeah.
And now you have these like brackets that can happen that can force them to work it more. And instead, we're just going to give up something in the middle of the field.
Yeah. And another thing that led me to that exact thought was just watching this defender that on the far side, as they're following that person and they know that they've got another teammate here, then it'd be really nice if they kind of knew they had the support, that they could actually hard commit to stop this space here, knowing that if their mark actually tries to like go deep, then it means that they can get a switch going on with the other defender, right? But this defender here can only commit to covering that under, if they're confident that they'll get help if the guy goes deep. So in the end, this guy's free under. I keep saying this guy, it's pretty bad. In the end, he's free under because he's trying to mark him out completely 1-to-1. If he was able to commit harder, so that when this guy changes direction, if he goes deep, then he's got help. So if he's able to commit harder to stopping the under, then and to get activation from his teammate, then they could stop. They could both stop the unders and the deeps with the bracket. So we could have bracket on either side of the field here at the same time. It's very quick movement, of course, but I think that on the nearer side, I think it's very, very possible to do that. But as you said, they love their matchups.
Yeah, I think Barry here is making an interesting point about I love the abject terror that people would feel, and I totally understand that. But regardless here, you're still, when you watch this back, you're still giving up a massive gain. And, Beau was terrifying. And there's not much it's like you pick your poison here. And so I think the question becomes like, do you like this point that happens? Do you keep going with it, or do you change up the strategy? And so, this is something where like, I think the poaching on one side of this would make this go to Robbie Cahill and Joel Schlachet in the backfield a lot more, which gives Revolver an advantage. And then, if you are aggressive and Beau goes deep, then that's really hard too. So you have to come in with multiple game plans to be able to see what's going to work. And I think for me, there's a lot of like, what are the simple plays you can make that would make things, defensive possession, just a little bit better? Can you make him throw 50 more throws over the course of the game with a little bit more pressure? Because if you can do that, that's potentially 1 or 2 more turnovers, which can make the difference in the game. So I know that these feel like idealized switches, but if you start to do this, it can become more commonplace. You can get a lot more better defensive possessions and positive defensive plays.
Yeah, and as someone who's coached and been part of systems that constantly encourage switching and sandwiching, the number of small advantages you get from it begin very quickly to outweigh the miscommunications and the slip-ups that you get from it. I mean, it's defense, right? So if you're able to throw something a bit crazy in the mix, something a bit unexpected, and you kind of know what's going on, then it can very often lead to advantage. Occasionally, it's a massive blown pick or whatever, a blown switch rather. But once you've trained it and once you've made a habit of actually training it and getting good at it, then gives you these little bits of advantage which add up.
Yeah, I think if we go back to that goal, if we watch that being scored, we'll see that the man is close, the defender is close, but he doesn't have a realistic play at the disc. And I think the difference between playing matchup defense and playing a head-up switchy is that the way goals and breakdowns happen is like this is a man-to-man defense breakdown. And it's you're close. You feel like if the defender makes a really good play or the throw's off, you can get a block. And those we get so used to living with those types of failures, which is we were close. If we just play harder person defense, we'll be good.
Yeah.
Where sometimes when the poaches stuff and the switches break down, all of a sudden this goal is a wide open goal, and everybody's looking around each other, being like, "Oh, I thought you had him. Oh, I thought you had him." And it's the type of error that frustrates people the most, which is the breakdowns and poaches and switches cause wide open goals, and they look really bad. The breakdowns and like pretty good man-to-man defense, the goals don't look as wide open. It feels like you did work.
Mm-hmm.
And so I agree that it's bad defense, but that's also a really tough person to guard in general. And so it's one of those things where it's like tough to choose what you're taking away. There's better man-to-man defense you could do here, but my point still stands.
Yeah, it's very. I think what I'm taking from what you're saying is that it's very tempting when that happens, when the one-to-one gets beaten like this. Then the answer is simple. It's like, right, you need to have better positioning, or you need to be faster. You need to go to the gym more. You need to get stronger. It's like a simple physical thing, right? But when and it's actionable, and you're like, oh, I was close. So you don't like throw it out the window. But when you get a blown switch, then it's like, what happened? What went wrong? And it's like, oh, like you didn't hear me say this or something like that. Then the answer and how to solve that is seems way more complicated and way less actionable, especially for like young coaches.
Yep. And
so then they shut out the idea of switching and poaching or switching, sandwiching, bracketing. So I think I was taking that from what you're saying, and that's why we see so much prevalence of one-to-one. It's like it's harder to figure out how to do switching and bracketing well, and then it's more painful when you get scored on, because it seems like you were nowhere near it. But in reality, if they'd have heard the switch a half second earlier, if they'd been prepared for it, then it would have just stopped the score completely. But when one-to-one works well, and the person is actually faster or stronger, then you get an amazing layout D. So then you get this huge rush of like, yeah, we're doing amazing stuff, So both
the emotion of the game can feed well into one-to-one defense, because now you can try harder and all of your energy can just go into that. Whereas like when you're doing something wrong with poaching and switching, it's not an energy thing, it's a focus and making the right decision thing. So it feels vastly different, which is why I think the traditional aggro male psyche loves to feed into like, let's go get it, let's bring my excitement, my energy, let's outwork the other person. And you want to do both. You want to outwork the other team, and you want to in the right spots, and you want to find ways to make your job easier.
Yeah, maybe that's the answer. Maybe I've been doing it all wrong. Maybe it's actually like women's teams that are kind of revolutionize defense, because they've got the selfless teamwork more. I don't know if that's a sexist thing to say. But...
And Bart, once again, just like feeling himself. This time it just doesn't work. That's 3 for 3. Bart has been like, yeah, I'm going to go chuck it to Jimmy. Why not? Let's keep doing it until it doesn't work.
He's found his favorite receiver. I mean, you can tell why he is, but Jimmy here is like, okay, I'm going to pressure in, and then it's like, oh, okay, if I go up for this on this trajectory, I'm going to flatten him, and maybe I'll miss the disc, so then he has to peel off a little bit. Defender does well. Disc does well to stay just beneath the chat box. And gets to do.
This is a nice block. In this throw, if it's just a little bit further, it'd just be so deadly.
Yeah. There's definitely like a space that could be hit here, especially with the Mickle at that kind of position. Like it could go anywhere to the right.
He's holding his head.
I think someone asked you a question in the chat. Did you see that one? I think I saw it a minute ago.
Yeah, I'm not sure. There's been a couple of them from Barry. He's been active.
Barry became
number one feast or famine player in the 2000s. I can agree with that. Lucas Dahlman, nice block. This was at the peak of his game too, I think.
Looks like Ryan Farrell will actually come on for Owen Westbrook for Bravo.
We might have time on Friday for a Q&A with patrons. We'll see. We'll see what happens Friday. But something we've been doing recently is having Q&A sessions with co-hosts and stuff after.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
After the film sessions. I think that stoppage was for the injury, right?
Yep. And they get to bring Cassidy on. Classic side stack look here. No real help over the top.
Santana. No help over the top. Right. Yeah, well, number 11's kind of thinking about it, but from a long way away.
Yeah. Nick Lance there on the backside, and then you have Canner versus Bart, and it's like, he's open here. It's not a bad decision, especially with Cassidy. He's usually going to hit this. If it's a different receiver too, Cantor's not the best deep threat. But this is the type of stuff where it's like it can lead to really quick goals that are really demoralizing.
Very upright with his running form. Maybe that's good. Yeah, it's definitely out of reach. It's interesting that the defender, even though they're level with the other two, that the poaching defender is the one that gets way closer. Right.
Oh, Lance is quite the athlete. Yeah. He closes. If this hangs in the middle at all, he's got a chance. But Cassidy does a good job here, at least with the throw placement. I mean, it's long, but from a width-wise.
This is defensive triple coverage over here, which is a massive win for the side stack.
Yep.
Okay. If anyone,
yeah,
go on.
We could talk for hours about the suboptimal of guarding the far side of the field in that case.
Yeah, I was going to say, if anyone hasn't seen Brian's, well, my analysis and guess of what Brian's system is for defeating side stack, check out the analysis of Pony versus Revolver, 2018. I actually analysed the US Open final, 2018, but they won nationals that year as well.
Yeah, it was a fun year. You got some adjustments to make. Hopefully we get to take the field this season, but if we don't, it's going to be there is more refining to do. Some teams got smart about being pretty patient.
Yeah. Oh, it's interesting. I'm only really started talking about defense this year, and I've got a lot to say. There might be a how to play Flexican defense video coming soon. Oh, that's such a good catch. He has to commit so early and so hard.
Excellent throws into the wind.
Oof, nice feet. Sean.
And this is Sean Keegan mostly as a receiver. I think this is really one of the last times in his career that he's mostly a receiver. He really transformed himself for the next few years to become a handler.
Right. He still catches a lot of goals. But I definitely typify him as a handler now. That's such a good catch from Nick Lance.
Bart knows his receiver.
High release backhand. Oh, video. Come on, video. Off you go. Play. Real nice. Nice quick backhand from Jimmy as well. Catch it. Pop. Oh, come on, video. Catch it, pop it off.
Finds Keegan in the end zone.
And then a snappy flick from Brett Matsuka. How does Keegan get so free? Oh, he changes direction at a really nice time. Is he behind my face? Maybe not quite. Yeah, he looks over his shoulder.
Well, I think Brett just makes this throw on a line, and he knows that he's got him. It's a tight window.
Yeah. Oh, such a good catch.
Excellent throws into the wind.
Nice. Good job, the Revolver guy, not to take his legs out as well. Should be expected, really. Yeah, defender did well not to murder Lance on that poach as well. I think Lance just knew how to attack it that quickly in order to avoid that contact as well. Just kind of flew in front of him.
See poaching going on downfield by McShane. Johnny Bravo. Sneeder and Kittredge matched up.
Okay, we've got 20 minutes. 20 minutes of Brian's company. Oh, nice D, Peterson.
Rasmussen is injured.
Oh yeah, this is a nasty injury. Actually, it's not nasty. He rejoins the game later on, but there is like relatively graphic footage. It's nothing. It's no breaks or anything, but it's a sprained ankle. So if you're particularly, yeah, there's Beau throwing one of those backhand hooks. Yeah, if you're particularly squeamish, maybe don't look at how he lands. Oh, it's nasty. There's a couple of injuries in this game, but there's a lot more amazing plays.
Ooh, that one hurt.
Yeah. He's like flying down and then... Ouch. Man, imagine being that high up and coming down and landing on your ankle like that. Oh.
Yeah, no thank you.
I don't imagine that, yeah. Monica Anderson here. Played on the same team as her. Paganelli one year.
Now she's the coach of Revolver.
Yeah. So Cassidy does actually come back and play in the rest of this game. So yeah, that wasn't like as bad as it looked somehow. He must have really strong ankle tendons.
Yeah.
Marked by Jeffrey. Mickle going deep to Sneeder. Kittredge giving chase. Sneeder boxes out for the goal.
This is called a foul.
And Kittredge, no foul call.
Wait, commentator just said no foul call. But I'm not sure. I say commentator, as you. I think so there is a call here. Let's just quick go through the thing. Talking to Kittredge, talking to the game advisor. This goes back. Replay from this angle. Not really the better angle. Okay, name this red flag in the background, please. Anybody? Nice easy one. And we'll have a look at the other angle.
Going deep to Sneeder. Kittredge giving chase. Sneeder boxes out for the.
Sneeder, is it Sneeder? And Snyder?
I think that's Austin Gregerson right there.
Oh, Gregerson. Okay. Yeah, so I mean, he gets in position, and then he's like, "Well, Beau has to go through me to get this disc," and he's still making a play on the disc. So he slows down. Beau goes into him.
Yeah, I don't think this is a foul.
And then goes down. Yeah, I guess Beau must have felt like that arm is what actually holds him off and pulls him down and causes that to happen. But you don't really have an argument when you run into someone. Once you've initiated the contact, then that means you started the encounter off in the wrong. But that's fair enough. I mean, I trust Beau. Made the call honestly, felt he was fouled. It's Hilke.
Oh, it is Hilke. My WUCC joined the stream. I think my favorite nickname I ever heard is somebody called him Nightmare.
Nightmare.
Star of the exciting Windmill One final we saw last year.
Hello, Rue.
We're
gonna have a little Rue intermission.
Gibson, high release on a high stall situation to McShane. Peterson. Pick call in the stack. None of these players, I don't think, will be nervous. Almost all of them have played in big games, and coming into this round,
Just gonna have a quick Rue intermission. Okay, this is an essential part of the stream, Brian.
Of course,
the viewers would not forgive me. Oh, just as the Kittredge sidearm happens. So let me switch the mode to. I wonder if the stream improved since I did that other switch. Okay, transitioning to this mode. Right, yes, Rue, come on, jump up here. Move the camera down. Oops, sorry, Rue. There we go. We got Rue. Thanks, Jason, for the reminder. This is the eye bleach after after that debatable foul. Let's say. Maybe if I put the biscuits up towards the camera, then that's more entertaining for the viewers. Rue, there you go.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, there we go. That's okay. Perfect. That's your fill of Rue. I think, viewers. For more Rue, you can subscribe to Patreon. There's a Rue tier where
we need a side camera always following Rue around.
Yeah. Okay, Rue, you can get in the way of the video controls for now. Yes, if I get 50 patrons, then I've actually committed to buying a webcam which will be trained on Rue for the duration of streams, at least for the first few weeks after that happens. So for more Rue, then there is an option. There are options to have more Rue in your life. There's a Rue tier on Patreon. Also, it was the ankle sprain that he needed the bleach for. Yeah, fair enough. Okay, let's transition back. Get this back up. Yeah, so this is the Beau Kittredge sidearm. If anyone wasn't here earlier, we spoke a bit about it. And my kind of point with Beau's sidearm technique is that he doesn't do the whipping motion, right? He doesn't activate his the muscles from the left shoulder and snap the core, and then like go through with the arm, like that kind of motion, like, you know how it like travels like down the arm to the wrist. Instead, it's very much a kind of like all in one, like I'm throwing this forward, you know, like you'd throw other objects, I guess. But yeah, not like a whip, and you can see it very clearly in this, and it's related maybe to the fact that he does this travel as well, you know, where he always takes that like large step. Yeah, and then there's like, you can see there's no like real shoulder rotation, and he's kind of launching his whole body into the throw forwards.
Yep.
And I think that is the kind of key to the technique issue that's going on with this flick. All right, I don't want to focus on it too long. Beau's a lovely chap. When I was visiting, we had a beer together, and he came round to my hosts for dinner, and I went around his for dinner with a few other people. Yeah, and then we had a beer and chatted frisbee all night. So and to focus on his mistakes when he's, you know, such a great player and a nice guy.
Beau's had many public mistakes and much more public successes. So
exactly, yeah. But yeah, I wonder how many people have actually kind of tried to break down, because I mean he wouldn't be where he is if he didn't constantly try and improve, and if he didn't also focus on those mistakes in order to fix them. But I wonder how many people have actually, like, you know, tried to break down his flick technique and spoken to him about it. I think I asked you the same thing like last stream.
Beau's what he's gonna be. You know, I don't need to touch Beau. I'm gonna let Beau be Beau.
I mean, I'm sure that works well. Maybe I would annoy players by constantly picking apart their.
Well, there's also a certain point where it's like you've developed something that works for you.
Yeah.
And to change it, you know, there's obviously some times where it's faltered, but there's plenty of times where he's been making great plays under pressure and been a constant source of resets for his team and under big moments. And you know, you take what he brings. It's been borne out in the field. It's proven. Another slicer here from Jimmy.
Yeah, so they end up on offense here. They end up surrounding the defenders, which is kind of interesting. You see, you got all the defenders like in the middle here. Two of them there as well. Huh. And then he fakes the hammer and then slices the flick across. He's so comfortable with the disc in his hands, you know. It's kind of like, it's perfect. It's just exactly what you should be looking for. It's just like, okay, that guy's free, so therefore, you know, let's wind up the hammer and see what's going on. Winds it up, doesn't quite fancy it. Maybe sees this guy going towards it. Maybe he's quite near the back. You know, and so he just smoothly fakes it and look in an alternative area. And then as soon as you get eye contact, this player then cuts the open corner. Textbook stuff, and Jimmy just making things look easy, but that's because he's doing all the small things right. Believable, realistic fakes and such.
Yeah. It's something that you can just continue to work on your game so much. It's something that at college practices, I preach a ton, which is we're going to have some time of 20 minutes of frank, honest feedback. And one of your jobs as a teammate is to tell your other teammates when their fakes aren't that good. Did you believe that fake? Did you think he was really going to throw that? What can he do better? And I spend a lot of time with young throwers just being like, you're faking too much. You're not faking enough. Okay. You can be more efficient, you know, and showing people that when I face up a mark, all I have to do is lean. If I just lean less than an inch one direction or another, the mark's going to sense that and move or react or not react. And if they don't react, then I know I have them. And if they do react, then I can move them with slight movements. And then the fakes really don't have to be that much. It's about making that efficient, moving the mark, moving the defense, figuring out how to do that. That's certainly tough.
Yeah, and I've thought to kind of practice that kind of it's not just really decision making. It's like a dynamic, fluid type of decision making where you can see where the threats are and how big they are, and so therefore what the most efficient amount of energy to put into the fakes is. That looked like an amazing D, but it's a foul.
Yeah, he's there a little early, I think, but at the same time, I mean, if this is Stanley Peterson, no, it's not. Because I think he's on Beau right now.
Take another look at.
It's hard to tell here a little bit until we get the replay.
Yeah, so
Matty Farrell coming in, Ryan Farrell's younger brother.
Right. Yeah, it looks like it could have that, and D's coming from an angle. You can't really see whether he gets his hand in there.
And also contact on the backside. I mean, it looks like there's some body contact there.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I love Ackley's reaction, though. Richter on the sideline. Can we just watch that again?
Yeah. Yeah. Nice.
It's an all-time great reaction.
Hard to get a good read. The mixed semifinals are going on right now.
I haven't seen Brody touch the disc yet, right? Because D-line have only been in 3 like 6 points.
Yeah. He ends up on offense for this team later in the season.
Right. He didn't he throw like in the first, was it the first ever AEDL game? And he just catches the ball, points to 2 sides of the field, and then throws like a 75-yard flick for the score.
Yeah, it was incredible.
Way to start a pro league. There's weird stuff going on now. Like, I don't know whether they're picks or not, but then stoppages and then struggling to restart. Let's just get the game going again.
Back better than ever. That national
Right, 8 minutes left of
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to cut it off a little earlier than that, so I think we should probably finish up the next segment and call it a day, because I got to get ready for a meeting.
All right, so the end of this point.
Yeah.
After the replays and stuff. Oh, no replay. Maybe that's appropriate.
It's a nice inside. This is one of the things that's hard to guard. We can look at the front of stack defense here, and I mean, Beau hits a nice inside here, but this is something that drives me nuts on defense when this happens, because the mark, if you don't guard the around as the mark, you're done. It's over for most people and most handlers here. And so I think in this case, when Beau ends up getting this and throwing the goal, there's a pass and then a goal scoring throw. The front of stack position, as soon as Beau gets it, like a little bit further down, there's a couple more passes until we get to the point. That I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. Oh, right, yeah, okay, here we go. So he gets it here going across the middle of the field. And then he does
so right here.
Out. Yeah.
So at this point, you've got to be hauling in order to get back into position to be on the other side. I mean, this is actually just good give and go offense. Let's go watch this segment from where he came from again, because this is Marcy, I believe. And Marcy's really squirrely. But this is Brody on him as well.
Okay, back to Beau. The first time he gets it, throws down the line.
I'm pretty sure it's not Nick Schlag that gets it. Gets it to Beau. Marcy comes across. I'm pretty sure this is Marcy here. Throws the goal to Cassidy. Oh, Evan Boucher. There we go.
Yeah. It's funny. I can hear you saying the name repeatedly on the actual footage.
Yeah, I had to mute it so make sure I didn't hear each other over it. But this is actually, at first I was going to say this is bad defense, but not in the way I thought it was. Brody's just lagging behind, and in this case, it's just an awesome type of cut. And I think I've seen Revolver run this type of play against us before in 2017. Where it's just like you throw and then you go cut straight across the field, which is not something that's taught. And it's just this window is it's not even really a break throw; it's a 4-side throw, with how much width he has to work with. So
if you just watch him after releasing the disc. Then I'll just put a little circle on him and keep your eye on him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's Brody marking him, just lagging behind. A bit of a pick. But then being able to, being in a position where you get the disc when you're just coming in from the sideline like that is always deadly, because your momentum is like coming across the field towards the break side. So normally then it means your defender is trading exactly on the opposite place where they should be.
Yeah. There's a couple of things you could defensively try to do, but like it might be conquer in the back of the end zone, the white hat in the middle of the field. But man, I would rather not. I would rather bust this up as much as possible. I would rather have these 3 defenders in the middle of the field just come and help and squeeze that out and look to switch.
Well, one looks to here, kind of like comes across.
There's too late.
Yeah, there's a potential switch earlier, like where I said like it's kind of a pick, is that Sam Kenner? Maybe, I'm not sure. But yeah, so 4 here, he's marking this player here, and then his player isn't really being super active, and they could switch here, right? As soon as he sees there's an active cut, and they could switch, and he's got an extra 3 or 4 yards, so then he could then start to cover this, and they'd be in better position. And Brody, who he's switching with, would naturally then be near the mark that he was leaving. So an early switch, could have made this assist of the assist of the assist. Harder.
Totally agree. The other thing I'd like to point out is that Stanley Peterson on the mark of Beau, he looks behind him and does really good marking technique, which is to look for. He sees Cassidy getting open for the around. He's like, okay, I got to take it away, and there's no other choice. Like this is not his fault. This help has to come from other people. So he takes away the round. He sees Cassidy. It's to Evan.
Yeah.
In the middle of the field, and
yeah, that's all you can really ask from the force.
And that's Will Lockey there. And I mean, this is not bad. This is not bad defense either. It's really hard to guard Cassidy. It's just an open throw. You don't expect that to hit. There's enough space where I think a regular mark probably gets hit, but still, he's pretty deep in the end zone.
Mm-hmm. Big old space in that entire half of the end zone as well. But very, very tight. I mean, it's hard to say. It's hard to see exactly when. So maybe early on, maybe seeing this cut bend around early on, if these 2 defenders weren't so tight 1-to-1, potentially if this is again the moment where you got 3 offense near each other, so you could potentially bracket. Right, you got red. I'll do it in red. 1, 2, 3. So then the white team could potentially, have maybe have 2 on this side because it's a bigger thing, and then 1 over here. Just a slightly more efficient kind of initial setup, and then that means then when the cut goes slicing across, they're having to go towards a defender for those first few steps, and so then they wouldn't be as free. But then when they're isolated in that amount of space, you have to do something special to avoid it just being a 1-to-1.
Yep. Totally agree.
All right, Brian, thank you very much for joining today. You'll be back on Friday.
Yep.
It's been an absolute pleasure again. I look forward to Friday very much.
Should be a great time. Looking forward to it as well.
Hopefully we'll get through.
Thanks
more
for everybody who joined the chat. That was a lot of fun.
Awesome. All right, Brian, have a good meeting. I'll see you later.
See you.
All right, everybody. That was Brian joining me. As said, he'll be back on Friday, where we're going to go over the rest of the game. Let me get the schedule up. I've added an extra person in to the upcoming schedule for our film sessions. Yeah, that's good, isn't it? You can see that. So upcoming film sessions. These are the Brian ones that are happening right now. This is the semi-final we're going over. And then next week we got Ravi looking at the Groot versus Poland mixed final of Windmill. And then we got Daryl Stanley. And okay, so this game here that we're going to do with Daryl, that is currently tied voting wise. So if you want to have a say in which game we go over, then if you go to my YouTube, then you'll be able to vote on sorry for talking in like a robot because I'm trying to do something on the computer at the same time. Here you go, I've got the link now. All right, so if you go to YouTube, then you can vote on the game. Right, so that's the link I need to send out. I need to go here with this. Sorry, I'm just trying to get the link to go here. Why can I hear myself now? All right, because I loaded up my stream. Okay, here we go. I've got the community page here, linked. I loaded up the stream. There is the place where you can go and vote. Now let me show you what's going on with the vote at the moment. So here's my channel, and you've got. It was tied, and currently now you've got USA versus Canada, the men's final, World Under 24s 2019, 37%. Ooh, 37, all right. And then close second. So if you'd much rather see the Truck Stop Sockeye Semi Final, 2017 US Open, me and Daryl going over it. Daryl was coaching Truck Stop. Then you can vote on the YouTube. You have to be subscribed. If you subscribe to my YouTube, then it will play a little jingle and show a little frisbee thing right now. Patreon is still going on. On Monday, I'm going to do like a sub-train stream, right? So Monday's going to be a bit of fun. Don't know exactly what's going to happen, but the basic idea is that I'll start streaming like quite early on, maybe like in the early afternoon, and for every like pledge I get, for every like patron I get, then I'll stream like extra that day. Yeah, so there'll be a chunk at the beginning because I've already got some patrons, 22 patrons. Get you up so I can shout you out. And then for every patron that subscribes during the stream, then I'll stream more. And the content will be entirely decided by the patrons as well. So you can just hang out, see what's going on, and then be like, right, okay, it'd be quite cool to actually, let Felix, guide Felix to get looking at this game or looking at this video that he made, or checking out this stuff on YouTube, or playing Rocket League, or you can maybe see how I play Fortnite, which is hilarious. It's basically like advanced hide and seek. I'm in Champions League, but I have to work out how to like stream that. But it'd be a chill stream, it'll be like a few hours, and we'll get sub train going on. I'll try and get loads of graphics up and stuff, and we'll just make it like a fun kind of day event. And the reason we're doing that on Monday is because it's the first of the month, right? Patreon charges you when you join up, and then it charges you at the first of the month, right? So if you join up now, then you'll pay $1 plus, and then after like 4 days or whatever, you pay like another $1, right? So it's not the ideal time to sign up right now because you get charged like $2 in the space of 5 days. But yeah, Monday is the ideal time. And then you can always upgrade and downgrade whenever you want. Also going to get some flex defense educational stuff. So I did like a live stream with a team in California. They wanted to learn about team defense. Shirtless streams up for consideration. I'm not sure about the trajectory of that suggestion, but a tentative yes. I don't know if there's going to be many requests for that. Maybe I'll just put a certain number of patrons limit or amount. But yeah, these are the things that I'll consider. Rue is shirtless. Yeah, Rue is always shirtless. Yeah. She's just sitting on my desk right now. What was I saying? Talking about the sub trains, talking about doing random stuff. I got completely thrown by the shirtless comment. How's everyone enjoyed the stream today? Did you enjoy having Bryan on? Do you think it's ridiculous that we only went over 6 points in like 1.5 hours? Did you all miss the beginning of the stream because you didn't hear that it was earlier? What mediums can I release the information to get you listening, or so that you know when the stream's going live? These are all questions that I'm interested in hearing the answer to. So shout out, to Milan, Valerio, AJ, Joe, Luke, Noah, Walden, Travis, Kevin, Eric, Dom, Rob, Sebastian, Seth, Tender, Florian, Russ, Site, Mammal, Sean, and Benji. That's the Beehive. And now we have the advanced, archived film sessions. Lots of great games as well. Ooh, we're also going to get. So those are the games of Daryl Stanley. That's what we were talking about there. So if you want to vote on that, go to YouTube. And then we've got Stefan and Benji, and I'm gonna put the votes up for what game we're going to cover for that next week. And then we've got Liam Grant coming back at the end of June, and we're going to go over the men's final for Australia versus Japan. Noah got swerved by the early start. Yeah, I gotta figure out a way of kind of getting the information out a little bit clearer. Did everyone enjoy the stream? Just checking my to-do list. Oh, let's have a look at the GOAT list. And I tell you what, I can actually play some replays in the background for you, which might give you some spoilers. Oh, that's a bit loud. Let's go back to the start here. Right, GOATs. Yeah, WUCC. I was hoping Rogers would say WUCC. There's the GOAT in the UK. He was absolutely incredible when I started playing. Yeah, I learned a lot from him actually, which I write about in my book, which is my memoirs book, which will be released in a few weeks. Well, that's a bit ambitious. Maybe it's a few months. Who are people's GOATs out of the GOATs on this list? Ashton Cahill being on the GOAT list is silly to me. I hear you, Barry. I hear you. I got you. Free Child and Mickey too early to include? Maybe. I don't know. They've potentially they've both proved themselves a lot over it's quite a long time really. At least 10 years now. But they've both been like very, very, very good. Yeah, still, it's only 10 years. Beau Kittredge is your GOAT of the GOATs. It's a good shout. That's Hiro Matsuno. I should know Cribber's real name. Kind of picture him. He's a ridiculously tall player that was like super old school. These players are all good. Rob Alpin, I think, is the greatest, maybe leader, the greatest captain that's been in the UK. But I don't know about player, like very, very, very good. But definitely, like the edge he brought was the leadership to Clapham for many years. He was the guy that brought Clapham up to compete with the US. Really, they were already best in the UK. Okay, so Barry says number 1, Beau. Number 2, Matsuno. Number 3, Kurt Gibson. 3 best players you've played against. That's when you're playing Chain Lightning, right? Yeah, Kurt Gibson. I love Kurt being up there. Handlers can be GOATs. Yeah, I actually, that reminds me. I'm going to put in Jeff Cruikshank. Might be my favourite player of all time. Oh, you... I wonder if that was subconscious. I started reading your message and it made me think of Cruikshank. And then later on in the message you say Cruikshank. Yeah, Cruikshank is a better inclusion, I agree. That's a nice list, isn't it? All men though. Where's the sexism? I mean, why the sexism?
That's a great connection, Lance to Mickle. As we take a look, Beau Kittredge is an elite athlete. There's a lot of
Beau versus Jimmy.
Looking at the numbers of
this wasn't okay. This is a spoiler, but because it's on the thumbnail, I feel like I owe it to you guys to show you this. Otherwise, it's like false advertising, right? Mish Phillips, definitely in the conversation. Man, you gotta have some. Cartagena, Manuela Cardenas, So Beau gets up high and goes to like palm the disc or maybe just hit it with his wrist. And Jimmy almost gets his hand around it. But then Beau's just got it first and just gets it cleanly as well. Like comes down the side of Jimmy's arm. So that's close. It's almost caught by Jimmy. It's almost a foul. But D for Beau. No call, I think. Yeah. Another angle. Yeah, Alex Snyder, Miranda Roth. I was going to say Miranda Roth. Gwen Ambler. Oh, I remember I was honoured once when I ran push pass and Gwen Ambler bought a DVD off me way back in like 2007 or something. Jesse Schaffner. Yeah. Jesse Schaffner definitely sprung to mind. Maybe like Beck's fourth. Like, she's dominating the UK, and then you know, Eurostars. She's behind it. She basically just surrounded herself with players of a similar caliber to herself, and had a brilliant time playing against, you know, the top US teams. Don't think Schaffner's close to the GOAT conversation right now. Like I gotta admit, I just haven't seen enough. You know, what I've seen is great, and I've seen like, you know, the give go moves and the quick disc movement and those kind of clips. But I haven't watched enough. You know, it's fundamental, so I can't really say sure one way or the other. Okay, seems like an appropriate time to close the stream out. I'm going to head to Discord, so if you want to come hang out on Discord, then that is where I'll be. Become a patron, get the link, or if for some reason the Patreon website isn't working, or you really can't afford $1, then just drop me an email and I'll get you included. Rodders agrees with Bex. Yeah, Jenna Thompson from the UK. Yeah, she popped into my mind too. She's been right up the top for a long time. So many. Whenever I think Jenna Thompson, I just think the laying out. Just like that's all that comes into my mind. Just her laying out all over the place. Becky Hay was absolutely brilliant in 2016. I thought as well. I think she seemed to, just be all over the field in 2016. But I don't know about like amount of time. Like goats tend to like play at the very top level for a long time. You know, and kind of you earn the goat there. And Becky Hay, I won Euros with her in 2009 when she'd only been playing for a couple of years. And then 2016 she was dominating. Was that 2016? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. So she's in the conversation, definitely. Okay. I will see you either in Discord or I will see you on Friday. Well, that messes up my usual see you again soon sign off. I'm lost now. I hope you've enjoyed the stream. I'm going to say it anyway, aren't I? Yeah. I hope you enjoyed the stream. I've got Rue here. I'm not going to wake her up just to show her to you. You had that time earlier. I'd love to just have a chat about goats and stuff why did that come up in Discord. So if anyone wants to join in Discord, and if we get bored, you can play Rocket League or whatever. Sweet. Hope you enjoyed the stream. I have enjoyed it, and I'll see you Friday. I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.
Ooh, yeah. Good. Yes, you're good. Yeah. Oh, yeah.